Most people say they want greatness, but what they really want is the idea of greatness. They want the highlights. They want the applause. They want the story after it worked out. But they don't want the lifestyle that comes before it. And that's the first lie. Because Mamba mentality was never meant for everyone. Kobe Bryant didn't wake up one day and magically become disciplined. He didn't suddenly love pain. He didn't enjoy suffering for fun. He made a decision that most people are not willing to make. See, the world loves to quote Kobe. They love the sound bites. Work harder than everyone else. Outwork the competition. Be obsessed. But obsession sounds cool until you realize what it actually costs. Because obsession means you don't get balance. You don't get comfort. You don't get excuses. While everyone else is asleep, you're awake. While everyone else is resting, you're working. While everyone else is asking for motivation, you're already on the court. Not because you feel like it, but because that's who you decided to be. Here's the part nobody likes to hear. If you need motivation to train, this mentality is not for you. Kobe didn't train when it felt good. He trained when it felt terrible, when his body hurt, when his mind was tired, when nobody was watching. Because he understood something most people don't. Your feelings don't matter. Your standards do. Most people live their lives reacting to how they feel. If they feel tired, they rest. If they feel uninspired, they wait. If they feel uncomfortable, they stop. Kobe lived by a different rule. The work gets done, no matter what. That's the Mamba mentality. And that's why it's not for everyone. People love to say they want to be elite. But elite is lonely. Elite is boring. Elite is repetitive. It's the same drills, the same shots, the same fundamentals, over and over and over again. There's no dopamine hit, no applause, no instant reward, just you and the work. Most people quit there. They say, this is too much. This isn't healthy. This isn't balanced. And they're right. Greatness isn't balanced. Kobe didn't chase happiness. He chased mastery. He wasn't asking, how do I enjoy this more? He was asking, how do I get better today than I was yesterday? That question alone eliminates 90% of people, because improvement demands honesty, and honesty hurts. It forces you to look at your weaknesses, your laziness, your excuses, your lack of discipline. And instead of blaming your coach, your teammates, your circumstances, you take responsibility. Every missed shot, every bad game, every failure. That's on you. Most people don't want that weight. They want success without ownership, confidence without preparation, results without sacrifice. Kobe rejected all of that. He understood something simple and brutal. You don't rise to the level of your talent. You fall to the level of your habits. That's why he built habits most people would never tolerate. Early mornings, late nights, training sessions before training sessions. Not to prove anything to others, but to become dangerous to himself. Because when you know you've done the work, confidence is automatic. You don't need hype. You don't need validation. You don't need someone to believe in you. You already know. And that's when the game changes. But here's the truth. Nobody puts in a motivational video. If you're still looking for balance, if you still want comfort, if you still need people to understand your journey, Mamba mentality is not for you. And that's okay. But don't lie to yourself, because the moment you stop pretending is the moment you can decide who you really want to be. Here's what people don't understand about Kobe Bryant. He didn't use pain as motivation. He used pain as confirmation. Pain told him he was exactly where he needed to be. Most people feel pain and immediately ask, "How do I make this stop?" Kobe felt pain and asked a different question. "How do I stay here longer?" Because he understood something brutal and simple. If it hurts, it means you're touching your edge. And your edge is where growth lives. That's why Mamba mentality repels most people. Not because they're weak, but because they're addicted to comfort. Comfort is the real drug. Comfort tells you, you've done enough. You deserve a break. You can do it tomorrow. And tomorrow quietly becomes never. Kobe didn't negotiate with comfort. He eliminated it. While others were asking how long practice would be, he was asking how much better he could get today. While others counted reps, he counted standards. And standards don't care how you feel. This is where obsession becomes misunderstood. People think obsession means intensity. It doesn't. Obsession means consistency, without emotional involvement. You show up whether you're confident or insecure, whether you're winning or losing, whether you're praised or criticized. That's discipline. And discipline is not aggressive. It's quiet. No announcements, no posts, no excuses, just work. Kobe didn't train to feel good about himself. He trained so that nothing could shake him. Because when you've already suffered voluntarily, pressure loses its power. Think about that. Pressure only works on people who are unprepared. That's why Kobe loved the moments others feared. Game 7. Hostile crowds, last-second shots. Those moments didn't scare him. They exposed everyone else. Because in those moments, you don't become something new. You become exactly what you've practiced being. Most people collapse there, not because they lack talent, but because they've never practiced discomfort. They've practiced convenience. They've practiced excuses. They've practiced quitting quietly. So Kobe practiced the opposite. He practiced being alone. He practiced being misunderstood. He practiced doing the work without applause. That's why his confidence didn't come from hype. It came from evidence. Every early morning, every extra session, every rep nobody saw. That evidence stacked. And when the lights came on, he didn't hope he was ready. He knew. But here's the part people really avoid. Obsession costs relationships. It costs sleep. It costs normality. You will be called extreme. You will be called selfish. You will be told to relax. And if you're still trying to be liked, you won't last. Because greatness demands a certain level of isolation. Not forever, but for long enough. Kobe accepted that. He wasn't chasing approval. He was chasing legacy. And legacy doesn't ask for permission. This is the dividing line. Most people want success and comfort. Kobe chose success over comfort. That choice is where Mamba mentality begins. And that's exactly why it's not for everyone. Most people misunderstand confidence. They think confidence is something you feel, something that comes and goes, something you wait for. Kobe never waited. He didn't ask, "Do I feel confident today?" He asked, "Who am I today?" That question changes everything. Because confidence built on emotion collapses under pressure. Confidence built on identity does not. Kobe didn't act disciplined. He was disciplined. He didn't try to work hard. He identified as someone who works harder than everyone else. And once identity is set, behavior follows automatically. That's the mistake most people make. They try to change actions without changing identity. They say, "I'm trying to be more disciplined. I'm trying to be more focused. I'm trying to work harder." Trying is fragile. Identity is permanent. Kobe didn't wake up thinking, "Should I train today?" That question didn't exist. Training wasn't an option. It was who he was. That's why motivation was irrelevant. Motivation is for people who haven't decided yet. Once you decide who you are, you don't negotiate with yourself anymore. You execute. This is where fear comes in. Most people are controlled by fear, even when they don't realize it. Fear of failure, fear of looking stupid, fear of wasting effort, fear of not being special. Kobe flipped that. He wasn't afraid of failing. He was afraid of being unprepared. And those are two very different fears. The fear of failure makes you hesitate. Fear of being unprepared makes you work. That's why he welcomed pressure. Pressure didn't expose his weaknesses. It exposed his preparation. And the more prepared he was, the less power fear had over him. Most people avoid fear. They distract themselves. They rationalize. They delay. Kobe stepped into it, not recklessly, methodically. He attacked his weaknesses systematically. If his footwork wasn't perfect, he lived there. If his shot wasn't clean, he repeated it until it broke down, and then rebuilt it. That's not confidence. That's commitment. And commitment is heavier than confidence. Because commitment doesn't care if you're scared. It only cares if you show up. This is why Mamba mentality feels intimidating. It removes your excuses. It removes your stories. It removes your victimhood. There's no one to blame, no one to save you, just you and the work you were supposed to do. That level of responsibility scares people, because once you accept it, you can't unsee it. You can't blame the coach. You can't blame the system. You can't blame your past. You either did the work or you didn't. Kobe lived in that truth, and that truth shaped everything. His confidence wasn't loud. It was quiet, cold, unshakable. Not because he believed in himself, but because he trusted his preparation. That's the difference. Belief is emotional. Preparation is factual. One disappears under stress, the other shows up stronger. So ask yourself this: are you trying to feel motivated, or are you building an identity? Because Mamba mentality doesn't start in the gym. It starts in your self-image. And once that image is set, the work becomes inevitable. But here's the warning. Once you choose this identity, there's no going back. You will see laziness everywhere. You will feel frustrated by mediocrity. You will outgrow rooms, conversations, and people. Not because you think you're better, but because your standards no longer match. That's the real cost. And most people are not willing to pay it. Which is why Mamba mentality is not for everyone. When Kobe Bryant walked away from basketball, most people thought the story was over. It wasn't. Because Mamba mentality was never about basketball. Basketball was just the arena. The real work was always internal. After the jerseys, the rings, the noise, Kobe didn't slow down. He redirected. The same standards, the same discipline, the same obsession with mastery, still a different field. That's how you know it was real. Anyone can work hard when the spotlight is on. Very few people maintain that intensity when nobody is watching anymore. That's where most identities collapse. Because they were never identities. They were performances. Kobe wasn't performing. He had already decided who he was, and that decision followed him everywhere. Storytelling, business, fatherhood, learning, same approach. Learn the craft, respect the process, obsess over the details, not for praise, not for attention, but because that's the standard. This is the part that makes people uncomfortable. Mamba mentality doesn't care what you want. It cares what you're willing to become. It doesn't promise happiness. It promises clarity. You will know where you stand. You will know if you've done enough. You will know if you're lying to yourself. And most people don't want that level of honesty. They want reassurance. They want flexibility. They want permission to quit without calling it quitting. Mamba mentality offers none of that. It offers a mirror, and whatever you see in that mirror is yours to deal with. That's why this mentality creates separation. Not because Kobe was born different, but because he chose a path most people quietly avoid. The path of standards over feelings, preparation over confidence, identity over motivation. There is no finish line here, no moment where you arrive, only a daily choice. Do you honor your standards, or do you negotiate them? Kobe chose not to negotiate, and that's the real legacy. Not the championships, not the points, not the trophies, but the example. An example that says, you don't need permission to be great, but you do need the courage to live with the cost. And if you're honest with yourself, you already know whether this path is for you. Because if it were, you wouldn't be waiting. You'd be working, quietly, relentlessly, without applause. That's Mamba mentality. And now you understand why. It's not for everyone.